welcome back to the channel. We're glad to see you. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. The lathe we were using was too small. And then Tim had one that was the right size, but it needs too many parts and pieces. It's gonna take too long to set up and get running. We just went and picked this one up, I don't know, 3 days ago, something like that. We're gonna get this one fitted into this corner. We're gonna move that fuel tank and we're gonna move a few other things, get it where we want it, and we're gonna probably start working on our adapter today. So we'll bring you along for that. The other thing that we did is we got, Tim had an old alternator. Since last week, our other alternator, a brand new one, started smoking when we hooked it up to the truck. So we got that hooked up and it's running perfectly. So we know that that brand new alternator had an issue internally. But the company that we're going through, they took care of us. They're already sending us a new one. And when we get that one, we'll hook it up and then start working on drive lines after that. And then we're driving. So we're getting pretty excited to run this thing. We just were checking the clutch with the shifter and everything was working perfectly. So we're well on our way. We're getting there. Now we've got the lathe placed where we want it to be. We're gonna put little pads around each little foot. Next step will be we'll get it wired up. We got a plug for it and everything. It'll just go into my welder plug. So once we get that going, we'll start working on that adapter. Start messing with this thing. All right, so here's my welder plug. I've got it on a really long cord that can go anywhere in my pole barn / outside if I have to have, you know, if we do welding projects outside. So for now, we're gonna hook the lathe up just with a plug to this, and then at some point we'll actually wire it in and run it off the breaker that's on the wall right there. So, but for now, just to be able to do what we need to do today, we're gonna hook it up to this plug.
That's how they had it. I need to emphasize one thing. We are not machinists. I know how to use a lathe. There's no precision here. We're learning as we go. I used a lathe in high school, which was 25 years ago, but we're having fun. We're building adapters. We're not doing things down to the half a thousandth or whatever.
All right, guys, if any of you know what make and model this lathe is, let us know. We do know, we've got a tag right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but let's see if it'll focus. It says Riverside Machinery Depot, Detroit, Michigan. And then we've got another tag that Tim's cleaning off right here.
Olds Motor Works. And it looks like it's a 13111.
So yeah, let us know if you know what that is, because we're curious. Because we don't know the year at this point, right?
We don't even know the make.
Yeah, we don't even know the make yet.
He told us it's a South Bend, but I just don't think it is. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, so if you guys know what that is, let us know.
AJ was having fun and he did a really nice job. We got the beginnings of this going here. So we needed a heavier duty, bigger plate to be able to weld our transfer case adapter to. So this is the cheap aluminum one that was on the back. This is the seal, which we no longer need a seal because this all being oil, so it fits through here. We'll make it a little bit bigger. But what we've got to do now is we got to cut these steps for the bearing and the snap ring into this plate here. So once we get that done, we'll then mark out where these bolt holes go And we will have to cut one side off. I don't remember what side it is. We're about a 1/4 inch off center to make it work with our transmission. And if I planned it right, it'll be where this torch line is here. We'll cut this off square. But making good progress, playing with the lathe, figuring out how it works. So we're doing this first recess right here, which is a release for the snap ring that holds the bearing into the transmission. So I measured this here, and I'm not even going to tell you what the measurement is, I just know it fits. And then we did the first cut right there, so now we just need to go a little bit deeper. So we've got the recesses for the snap ring and the bearing in there. Need to get up a little bit more. Cut into here. We didn't need the center hole quite as big because this is where the shaft's going. It's not a big deal. This right here is where we'll be cutting this oil feed. This is what helps to oil the bearing. And then this is going to end up getting cut off flat. I keep dropping it too low. This is going to end up getting cut off flat to clear the plate. There's a square plate below this on the transmission. So we've got to then mock this up to be able to mark our holes. Because, there we go. There. This goes on the transmission. Both, this is transmission side, this is transmission side. So as I drop it on the floor, we need to center that and mark our holes so we can then drill it out. There we go. But yeah, one down, one to go. Now we got to make the transfer case side. This is our transfer case side now of our transmission and transfer case adapter. We've got our protractor, I think that's what you call it. We're gonna put a dimple with a punch. We're gonna scribe it. We're gonna blow that out with a torch, cool it, put it in the lathe. We're gonna make this match the transfer case. Well, today we were productive, felt really productive. This is the second half of, well, 2 of 3 to make the adapter for the transfer case. We made it nice and snug, fits right on there. We'll drill the holes for all the bolts and the alignment dowel. And this is the piece that we made this morning. That will get welded while the piece of tube welded in between the two. And this will be our transfer case adapter. That will go with this guy right here. Oh, that's right, wrong transfer case. But it'll work out just like that. It's perfect. As you see here, AJ picked us up a drill press. Now we have a whole bunch of holes to drill. Here's the adapter we made a couple weeks ago. This is, I believe, the transmission side. This needs 6 holes drilled in it, and it's 1 inch thick. Gonna take a little bit of work. We've then got, throwing stuff on the ground. We've then got this side. This is the transfer case side of it. Again, this needs 7 holes drilled in it. So this is gonna be invaluable. We've needed one for a while. So we're very excited to try out the new used drill press. We're gonna make up a CAD drawing, cardboard aided design. We're gonna make our template and we're gonna drill all of these holes because the piece of metal we ordered to go in between these 2 plates did not show up. We ordered it 2 weeks ago. But this is a lot of work, so we're gonna start and get this finished up. No, that kind of worked like I was thinking. See how it fits. It's too small. Ah, so close and yet so far. That was a fail.
Only got 1 piece of cardboard, don't mess it up.
I know it. Because what we'll do is see if I can just barely trim just a little bit off. Okay, that I think fits nice. So look at that. So
yep.
we'll put our notch right there.
Yep.
yes, that's right at the edge, but we can work with that. This is only to mark where it's going. This black line I just drew represents this slit here because the factory adapter was actually cut right there, so this was kind of a drain. So we don't need to seal anything in right there, so that works perfect. So by gently tapping around the sharp edges of the hole, yes, we know there's a few sticking out, it's fine. By gently tapping around the holes, it leaves a really nice indentation, so we can take this off, flip it over, and we can cut each one of those, and then this will match very nicely with our adapter we made to then line our holes up about as perfect as we can get without having a mill. So we find our holes right there, just gently tap, and you can actually see the hole start to appear. You can see the outline of it, and on the other side it'll be even more defined, and then the other one's right here. You don't need to go wailing on it. The only reason I wanted a small ball peen hammer is it fits a little bit better, but we actually have more room than I thought. There you can see that hole shows up really good. All right, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, an alignment dowel and slit on the bottom. You can see the 6 bolt holes right there and our alignment dowel, and then the notch will end up being right here. That'll match that notch right there. So this will go pretty much like this right here. Now we'll cut these holes out and we'll mark them out on here. We'll get this centered the absolute best we can, and we'll mark it out so we can drill a bunch of holes. We need to line this up with that, and then we need to center this, our CAD drawing, onto our metal and tape it with something adhesive like, and that is where all of our holes go. I think you need to come back, yeah.
Right there?
That looks perfect. We got our 6 holes and alignment dowel hole made. It went fantastic. Keep it in the frame here. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to press this alignment dowel into this hole. Now this is precisely drilled by just the size drill bits we have. So we're going to see what happens when we press it. I think it's going to go. It either is or it isn't. So let's just try it. So here's our alignment dowel. And what we're going to do is we're just going to press it and kind of give it a chance to press and release and hopefully straighten out, and hopefully all goes well. Crossing our fingers and toes and whatever else we feel like. That's not straight at all. Oh, yeah.
Looks like it's going really well.
Just make sure it's going straight. And we'll go just a little bit right there. Actually, that's perfect. It stopped just below the rust line, just like it was meant to be. Look at that. Can you see it? All right, here's the moment of truth. We did make it a little snug on purpose. These aren't the bolts. That one's right in. That one's right in. That one's right in. That one's right in. There's one right in. Oh man, can't get much better than that. Took a little extra time, but it turned out exactly how we wanted it. Got the adapter bolted up to the transmission. It's not snug down, but the gasket's in place. It fits perfect, exactly what we were wanting. This is the spline adapter that I had made. and this is going to go on here. Now I do have to cut the threads off and about 1/4 inch of this spline, so that's what we're figuring out right now. See, it doesn't go on all the way. So we'll measure it, we'll figure out where it needs to be, cut our spline off, and then we can slide this on, and then we'll bring our transfer case, since we don't have that pipe here yet, we'll bring our transfer case, we can slide it on. All we need is about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 inch of float, so this can move and not be pinched in there. And then we can get our drive shaft length for the back. I don't know what we're doing for the front yet, but we get it on the back, we can make this thing drive. So we're gonna pop these 3 bolts off, separate this adapter, because it's 2 pieces, and then we'll figure out where we need to cut this. We'll get the grinder out, we'll cut this off, and we'll be back. This was the original back plate of this transmission that's sealed on the yoke. This is our plate we made here. We turn down the yoke to this guy right here. This slides on here, and then this is for our new transfer case. This is all too long and it's not needed, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut about 1/2 inch of spline off, so that way it sits flush, and we can make this adapter what we need. We packed this with paper towels so we don't get shavings into the transmission. Let's go ahead and cut this off and make this guy hook up. We may have to do some filing. Let's see if it'll start. Oh, well, there we go. You might have to take just a little bit off for this that sticks out. Yeah, we got like 1/4 inch, but that's pretty good. It's just because I didn't cut quite straight. We've got an indexing mark. We got this all ready to go. Well, we have longer bolts for the permanent, but for mock-up, this is perfect. So now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna slide the transfer case on here and hang it. We'll get it clocked right, figure out how long this piece of metal needs to be, and where that transfer case needs to be to get the drive shaft to miss all of this bulk right here and to go right down where we want it. So next step is let's slide that transfer case on and see how that works. This is very exciting. We've been waiting for this moment for about 2 months, between needing a lathe, getting the metal, and now waiting for that center pipe. We're at about 2 months.
This is our adapter before we have done any welding. If you can see right here, we drilled a hole in between the 2 pieces and drove a pin in there. And then what we'll do is we'll fill this whole thing with weld out to about here on both sides, and then we'll get welded in that little gap there as well on both of these sides, like that. So that's our adapter. We're getting it. It's about halfway done. Tim's over here working on the plate.
Alright guys, this is the tube we've been waiting for. It finally showed up a little late in the day, but it did show up. We got it trued up and tack welded in place. So this is the first half of that adapter. We're not exactly sure how we're going to center this up. This is completely center. We tacked this on center. How we're going to center this up, I don't know, but let's cut it to length first and then we'll figure that out. cut to length. Now the next thing we have to figure out is how to center this.
By the way, AJ had a really good idea how to center it, so we'll see if we do that. It's probably right.
These are our indexing lines. We need those as straight across as we can, so that way that's gonna clock the transfer case in the right direction. But what we gotta figure out how we're gonna do is how we're gonna center this. We'll try AJ's idea, bolting it up and seeing what it does. Here's what we're gonna try and do. I don't know how this is gonna work. It's the best we have to work with right now, and the reality is if we have to make some fine-tune adjustments later on down the road, we can do that. This is just what we have. If we had live centers and bigger stuff for the lathe, we could do this a lot better. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our adapter in. So that sits right like that. So we're gonna set this on just like that. There we go, that's a lot better. Okay, then we have our index mark over here. Can you see that? We have index mark here. Let's face that the right way. So that goes something like that right there. What we're trying to figure out how to do is how to get this perfectly centered. This is the bearing off of the back of the transmission, which we indexed into this plate. Doesn't really do us any good because we didn't cut this off. We cut this much off of the other transmission shaft. So the issue is, when I put it in here, we're sticking up 1.5 inches, so the bearing should be all the way up here. So we're trying to figure out how to get this thing center and indexed. This is standing perfectly straight. This is about as good as we're gonna get. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take some measurements and just get it as close as we can. If there's long-term effects, we'll deal with them. These transfer cases are dirt cheap. If we have to have a better adapter made, maybe we'll have better tooling or whatever, but right now this is what we're gonna make work. I think it's gonna work just fine. We're gonna go ahead and tack weld this plate on here. We've already tacked this one. We're gonna tack weld this plate in place. We've got the orientation set up with our marks that we made here. And then we're gonna put this in the back, or bolt this to the back of the transmission, put the transfer case in, and make sure everything lines up. If everything lines up perfectly, we're gonna go ahead and hot glue this permanently, and then we move to the next step, which is making a transmission cross member or a transfer case cross member. It's not necessary, but we wanna give this some support in the back of the truck. Keep it from, this is a big transfer case. So let's tack this in place and see if it works. Part 2 of the adapter. There we go. That is awesome. That is so exciting.
I think it's